Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Divinely Empowered Media Show. And I'm your host, Anastasia Hay, and I'm glad to be here today because we're going to be talking about how to know if you are a billionaire in the making. And probably some of you are saying, to be honest with you, I don't even know. How does this even align with me? Because I've been working so hard on my business, or I have these goals, and I just feel like everything that I do is just not bringing any results, not bringing any income. But I just want to let you know right now that just like with a butterfly, you see the beauty of their wings, but they go through a stage. They go through the cocoon stage, right? They were once caterpillars, and then they go into the cocoon, and what do you know? A masterpiece comes out. We are masterpieces that God is working on behind the scenes. And even if you don't see results, even if you don't feel like all your hard work is paying off, these are the 5 ways to know that you are a billionaire in the making. God is setting you up for greatness. God is setting you up for success. And don't doubt it. Whatever you are doing right now, if you are thinking to yourself that is pointless, it's meaningless, and it's time to throw in the towel, don't leave the show. Don't turn the channel. Stick with me, because what I'm going to share with you is going to blow your mind. This is going to give you a whole new level of motivation, and you're going to be like, you know what? Wow, that sounds just like me. And you're thinking about quitting? After I share with you these 5 ways to know that you're a billionaire in the making, you're not going to want to quit. You're going to want to keep going until you see the manifestation of your billions. So let's start off with number 1. You think in solutions, not problems. You're not the kind of person to be whining and complaining. Oh my gosh, you ever met those people? They just complain about everything. Everything. They complain when they're in the car. They complain when they're at home. They complain when they're at work. But they never do anything to change the situation. They never do anything to find a solution. Well, you, on the other hand, you are a problem solver. You see the problem. You're like, okay. You're not sitting out there looking at it every day. Oh my gosh, I can't stand this. Oh my gosh, it's always there. And then years and years. Every year is the same thing. Every day it's the same thing. These kinds of people, I don't know about you, but I run far away from them. And even God himself, he doesn't like complainers. He doesn't do his best work when we are complainers, when we are always complaining. He loves when we are finding means and ways to resolve something. Find a solution, make good use of the resources that he blesses us with, moving our hands, taking a leap of faith. Faith without works is dead. But you're a problem solver. You see the problem and you're like, you know what? Nope, I'm not going to complain about it. Nope. I'm going to figure out on how I can resolve it. The trash is there. It smells bad. Nobody's taking out the trash. You know what? I'm going to take out the trash. And that's what you do. There's a mess in the kitchen, and instead of sitting out waiting out for Billy Bob and Christina and the rest of the siblings to do it, he said, you know what? I'm going to solve this problem. Mom keeps complaining. I'm going to get up and clean the kitchen. You are a billionaire in making. Your mindset. What I want to bring before you is that becoming a billionaire is not just about money. It's about your mindset. It's about your character. It's about the vision that you have. It's about different strategies that you have in mind, of how you want to get there, of how you want to be successful, of how you want to make it big. A lot of times people think it's just about the money. No. You wouldn't believe how many billionaires are out there, and all of a sudden they lost their billions in 1 year. The kind of billionaires that God is raising up are billionaires that are going to make a lasting impact. Their billions is going to leave a legacy. They're going to do something meaningful with the wealth that God blesses them to possess. The word of God says in Deuteronomy 28 that he has called us to lend to nations and not borrow. God is raising up a nation of kingdom entrepreneurs that are going to go out there and conquer the land and make a change communities, change the overall world. That is intimidating to the enemy. But let's talk about it. Now, you as a problem solver, the one that thinks of solutions, now your mindset is developing. And this is the kind of mindset that God wants his children, those that he's called into business. He wants his children to have that kind of mindset, that you're all about providing solutions. You see, there's a hot mess in your community. God blesses you to get to a place where you have a level of influence, a level of success. Now you provide that solution of how you can change your community for the best. And so the question that you ask yourself, when I get there, so you don't have the billions in your bank account right now. That is perfectly fine. That should not stop you from thinking big. What do you do when you get there? My first thing that I want to share with you, first very important tip, grab yourself a journal. You will look back on these days. I open up some of my journals and I read them and I say to myself, I was like, I remember God shared this with me in the early 2000s. And fast forward, here I am talking about empowerment. There was a time when God was sharing with me about different ways of empowering people, but I didn't know how I was going to implement it in my business. Fast forward, the idea, the light bulb just popped up and the idea was given to me and boom, empowerment is a part of my business, right? So begin to journal your ideas. Begin to journal the future version of yourself. Don't look at yourself as now, of who you are now. Look at the future you. I always tried my best. No matter how difficult my situation was, the obstacles that I had to endure, I always tried my best to look at the future me. What does future Anastasia look like? What is future Anastasia doing? How is she making an impact in her community? How is she making an impact in her family, in the world? I always tried my best to look at the future me. And so I want you to envision the future you. So even if your situation is not pretty, God is working on you behind the scenes. And as long as you have this kind of mindset, God can work with this mindset. If you are someone that refuses to complain, refuses to settle for less, but you are someone that is all about how can I find a solution? How can I turn this around for good? How can I get the best out of this situation? What lesson can I learn? What wisdom am I gaining? These are the questions that I want you to ask yourself. And I want you to begin to take note of the future version of yourself. Not just only have short-term goals, because it's so easy for people to have short-term goals. And okay, in like 2 weeks, I'm going to buy myself, I'm going to treat myself to dinner because I worked so hard. Okay, cool. Oh, I'm going to save up towards that car. I'm going to, going to sell this car and get a new one. Okay, cool. Fine. What about 10 years from now? What are the long-term goals? The long-term goals, they matter so much. Time is, I'm telling you, I totally forgot that we're getting close to the end. This is the last day of the month, but the days are just flying off the calendars. The day is flying off the calendar. And sometimes you're thinking to yourself, like, I'm like 10 years ago, I'm looking at the version of myself 10 years ago. And I'm like, looking at myself now, I'm like, look how 10 years flew. It flew. And so many things got accomplished. But imagine if I didn't have a game plan or a blueprint in place. And, this is why it's important to partner with God and share your vision with the Lord. And so he can help you, because we always want to leave room for God to work as well. We don't want to get so caught up that we're making all our plans, but we give no room for God to work. When we give God room to work, we won't be easily disappointed if we see that things are not done the way that we planned it or expected it to happen. Because God's way is always the best. When he intervenes, he always gives us his best. There's always a better way. So when you get to a place where you are successful, wealth is in your hand, life is good, you can breathe, you're not toiling like you're sleeping and you're making money, right? When you get to that place, you want to use your wealth to invest in innovations, right? That changes the world for the better. Look at the world around you. If you're thinking about hiring employees, you're saying, yeah, I want to hire employees. I want to provide jobs, because it makes a big difference for the economy. More jobs out there. But now I want you to shift your mindset. Now think about the future you. How much would I be paying my employees? Now you're looking at the world and you're saying, right now they're doing a riot for, I think recently they came up with the economic blackout, where you don't spend any money for 24 hours. Oh my goodness. People are angry. They are angry. They're angry at the CEOs of Walmart, the CEOs of Starbucks, because people are getting laid off. They're losing their jobs. They're losing their homes. They're homeless. And you see all of this. What does it do for you? Many of you are probably sitting down and saying, this is evil. This is pure evil. Okay, great. So God is looking at you and he's listening to you talking about this. And he's saying, so if I increase you, what are you going to do with that wealth? Now is your time. Now God has put you in the position. You are there. You have that level of influence. You have that level of success. Now you have that wealth. What are you going to do with it? You now provided a solution for the problem you were experiencing in your own life. This is your time. Because a lot of times the wealthy folks of the world, they harbor all of the wisdom and everything that they learn because they don't teach these things in schools. They teach you about how to be a slave, right? And that's just, I mean, that's not the term they use, but I'm going to be keeping it real with you because the average person that goes to school and graduate, what happens? They go work. They hardly make any money. And if they're not a full-time staff there, they're not getting any benefits. So it's just this cycle, this cycle. They work and they work and they work. Just for what? Just so the money can just build up and they go home and they pay their bills and then they're right back at the cycle again. No, with God. And God brought this to my attention recently. He said, we do not operate under the world's economy. We operate under the kingdom's economy. And so therefore, it doesn't matter if all hell is breaking loose in the world, people are losing their jobs, businesses are failing. Top-notch companies that luxury brands, for crying out loud, that people boast on are crashing. They're going into bankruptcy. But that will not happen for God's people. It will not happen for the kingdom entrepreneurs. No, it will not. Because we are operating under his economy. He does things differently. And so he will continue to bless our businesses. He will continue to prosper us. Because God's word will not go back to him void. And so when you get to that place that now you have created a solution for your problem, you don't keep it all to yourself. Because the billionaires out there in the world, they keep it all to themselves. They keep all of the knowledge of how to be successful, how to be wealthy, how to get to the top. Yeah, when they get to the top, they'll give you some gimmick and tell you, hey, this is how I did it. And they don't tell you the hard work and the missed sleep, the restless nights, the sacrifices they had to make. The Oprah Winfrey's of today and the Tony Evans of today, they're not telling you all the sacrifices and all the dedication that they had to make. Oprah Winfrey, she has a back end story. Oh, she didn't have the look. She didn't have the look for television. There was a certain look society, expected you to have and able to make it big in Hollywood or to be on television. But she proved them wrong. All of these wealthy, successful people that we hear about every day, they're somewhere in life and they'll sell a course, they'll sell this and say in 30 days you can do this, but they don't tell you the back end story. We as kingdom entrepreneurs, we operate differently. God wants us to be transparent. Now that you have resolved an issue in your life, you found a solution, a lasting solution. Now it's your time to give back. It's your time to educate people. It's time for you to invest your wealth in innovations that's going to change the world for the better. Whatever that is, creating organizations. I came across this one organization that wanted to put an end to abortion. They came up with the idea, and this is a Christian organization, and they said, you know what, a lot of these single mothers or women who had children out of wedlock, they feel like they made a mistake. They have regrets. They get terrified. They get scared, especially if they're young or if they don't want their parents to know or if they want to continue the education. The first thing that comes to mind is abortion. And so these successful, wealthy Christian entrepreneurs came together and they're like, what can we do? How can we invest back into the world? What can we do to stop this from happening? They came up with an organization. They provided a clinic. They provided a safe place. daycare. When you go in the building, there is shelves filled with clothes for the baby, diapers. They give money to the single mothers so that they can continue to build up a life. They don't have to live off the government. They can have a sustainable future for their children, and the list goes on. So now you get to have that kind of access. God has brought you to the top. You have that access to create something different, something that's going to make a lasting change for the world, for the best, for better. Number 2, you have an unshakable work ethic. You're not lazy. Okay? I want you to stop beating up yourself. I want you to stop saying, you know what? Who cares what your friends and family are saying? Oh, you never go out. Your friend is saying, you need to take a break. You need to come go clubbing with us. Come, let's go to the park. You need to tell that friend, listen here, you can continue to waste your money at the club, at the parties. You go have fun. God has called me to do something more meaningful, more purposeful. That friend will dump you. She's probably going to call you bougie. He's probably going to call you stupid. The list goes on, but who cares? You're not trying to please people. You're trying to please God. We all will stand before him on Judgment Day, and he will ask us, what did we do with the time he gave to us, with our life, with our gifts, with our resources, with our talent, with our wealth? And so let them say whatever they want to say. Don't beat up yourself because you decided that you're going to work hard. You decided that you're going to miss out on some sleep. You're going to miss out on some fun time. You're going to miss out on the weekend. You decide that, oh, I'm not going to be hanging out with the family. I'm going to focus on this because I want to be a blessing to my family. This leisure time, I'm going to use this leisure time to be productive. You're not lazy. As I said before, the billionaire in the making starts with the mindset, the character. You have a vision in place. It's powerful. It's absolutely powerful. So you do the hard work. You sacrifice short-term comfort. There's a lot of people, especially here in America, that wants to be comfortable. They're lazy. They don't want to wake up early. They don't want to grind. They don't want to go through the process. The process of being a business owner is, it's not easy. Okay? It's not easy. Sometimes you feel like you are in Twilight Zone. You know, I mean, like, I don't know the best word to describe it, but it's not for the light. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for those who are thinking like, hey, I'm going to get up and make my money within a week. It's not something that happens overnight. Success does not happen overnight. It doesn't. And if somebody told you otherwise, I really think you need to do a background check. Do a background check on them. But the average American doesn't want to work hard. Always want to be comfortable, want everything to be thrown in their lap. On social media all day, every day, scrolling, in front of the camera, doing videos all day, every day. Back in the days, our farmers, I don't see many of our farmers now, but our farmers back in the days, they knew how to get up early, plant that seed, and wait for God to bring the water onto that seed so that seed will grow into something beautiful, something that is nourishing for our body. Fast forward, we look at the airplanes, we look at the helicopters, we look at all these different innovations, all these things that have been created by hardworking people back in the days. Real talent, real grind, real dedication, real discipline. Does it still exist today? Yeah, of course it does. But is it something that's spotlighted? No. You may not be very popular. People may overlook you at times, and they may say you're doing the most. But continue to do the most because you are a billionaire in the making. And so what might seem like foolishness to some people, it means a whole lot to God, and God is making good use of it. God is using it, and he is going to position you, because right now what you're doing, I'll just be honest with you, you're positioning yourself for your wealth. That's what you're doing. You're positioning yourself for your wealth. Success requires discipline. If you don't have it, you will not be successful. If you are lazy, if you are a crybaby, if you're always complaining, if you're always murmuring, you will not be successful. But if you're willing to get out of the bed, wash your face, brush your teeth, take a shower, get on the laptop, put on some smart clothes, get on that laptop and begin to put your hands to work, do your research, dedicate yourself, connect with people, be humble, stay motivated, find solutions, you are so much more closer to your success. Now, what do you do when you get there as an individual with such great work ethic? You create opportunities by mentoring and employing others who share your work ethic. Now, right now, I'm mentoring college students because they are the future. A lot of times, and it breaks my heart, I started my business in college, and I'm grateful that I did because honestly, the last thing I would want to do is graduate and know that I've wasted all of these years to just be standing out there just thinking, okay, what's the next thing that I do? No, I already started positioning myself for what I wanted to do in the future. It is hard work. And a lot of times these college students, they spend so much money. Some of them are blessed to get tuitions. Some of them are blessed to have parents that saved up a fortune for them since they were babies. And then some of them were fortunate to have scholarships. But then there were others that have to have student loans. The sad thing is that they graduate without a clue of what to do with their degree. So God has blessed me with a wealth of knowledge. So what I'm doing, I'm mentoring. I'm finding ways to contribute to help these youths shift their mindset and shift it in the early stage of their education so that when they graduate, they have an idea of what to do, where to begin. They can stand on their 2 feet, right? So this goes for you. Somebody with unshakable work ethics, you're disciplined, you're not lazy. When God blesses you to reach the top, because at some point you will, this is your time to create opportunities, courses, classes, schools. Start mentoring and employing people with the same ethic, the same work ethic, the same type of mentality, the same drive. Now you're beginning to expand and you're contributing to God's kingdom, believe it or not. Number 3, you see money as a tool, not a destination. As I mentioned earlier, you have people who start off as billionaires and within a year they crash. They don't have a dime to their name. When God puts money in your hand, what do you do with it? Are you investing that money or are you immediately spending that money? And what are you spending that money on? Are you guilty of being a shopaholic? Are you constantly shopping? You're always shopping. Every minute you're adding something to your cart. If your shopping is not for your store, for your boutique, for your business, so that you can have a strong ROI, meaning a return on your investment, something is returning back to you, what you're purchasing, it's for marketing purposes, you're investing back into your business, then this is your time to be more shopping conscious. Be more conscious about how you spend your money. Give yourself a budget. Have a budget in place. Focus more merely on saving and do less spending. Focus on investing rather than purchasing everything that you see pop up in your feed on Instagram. You don't have to go out for dinner every single day. This is how billionaires operate. Billionaires in the making. This is how they operate. Now, when you get to that place in your life where you see, now you've recognized in your early stages that money is a tool for you. You're investing it back. You're utilizing it as something to advance your business. Take your business to the next level. You're utilizing it as a resource, not just a destination. Like, oh, I got money. I reached. I'm there. Nope. Not because you have money, you reached. You continue to invest. You continue to grow. You continue to expand. You save. Multiply. The word of God in Deuteronomy 28 talks about being fruitful and multiplying. That doesn't just go for your womb and having children, but that goes for every area of your life, for both men and women. being fruitful and multiplying every area of your life, financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. By you contributing to God's kingdom and making a difference in the world, you are multiplying. You're being fruitful. You're bearing fruits. You're bearing good fruits. You're bearing tangible fruits that honors God, that reflects God's glory, that reflects God's power, that reflects God's goodness. Dr. Pam Straker, we're featuring her. We're spotlighting her. She is on the face of the Divinely Empowered Media magazine. Look at her. Beautiful, beautiful woman. Very talented woman of God. She's an entrepreneur. She is best-selling author and also a psychologist. And so if you are currently in the season of caregiving where you have, people that you love about, whether it's your mother or your father, and, you're an entrepreneur and you're trying your best to be there for them and care for them. And there's some parts of you notice that they're not as independent as they used to be. And I don't want them to feel like I've forsaken them. But then you have so many responsibilities on your end. Dr. Pam, everything from the podcast, she shared her podcast. And when you purchase this magazine, you'll be able to scan the QR code. You'll be able to scan the QR code and watch her video. And you can also listen to her on our Apple podcast. You can listen to her on Apple Podcasts, on our podcast, and you can also listen to her on Spotify. So we are now available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can tune into her episode where she shares helpful insights and advice in regards to how to navigate through the caregiving season, because we all will approach it at some point. And she shares her story of what she experienced with her parents and some of the things that she had to do, and the sacrifices that she had to make, and, her journey. It wasn't easy at first, but, with her experience and all the things that she is educated about, now she's sharing her knowledge and educating folks on how to navigate through this time of their life. Okay. So from challenges to caregiving, Divinely Empowered Media magazine, our edition with Dr. Pam Straker is officially out. So definitely grab yourself a copy, show her some love by following her on LinkedIn, and head over to our website for more information. Now, if you're interested in skyrocketing your business, you have your business, you have an impactful story, you feel like you're in a place where you're confident about what your business offers and what you do as a kingdom entrepreneur, and you want to share your story, you want to share your journey, you have some insightful advice and tips that you want to share with our audience, we are in the homes of 100,000 viewers. Yes, and this will bring a lot of exposure to your business. So if that's what your goal is for this year, to bring exposure to your business, then definitely head over to our website, www.divinelymempoweredmedia.com, and take advantage of all the opportunities that we have available. Everything from being featured in our magazine or the front cover, or being a guest on our show, or being featured on our podcast. We have all of these resources available for you. And the good thing is that you won't have to sugarcoat about Jesus Christ. We're celebrating Christ every single day. So this is your opportunity to shine. Don't miss it. So once again, head over to our website at www.divinelymempoweredmedia.com for more information, and follow us on social at Divinely Empowered Media. Until next time, I hope you found these tips valuable. Remember, you are a billionaire in the making. God bless, and I will see you soon.